Hey, we're two fat guys.
And we just watched the hell out of the Avengers.
That's fairly accurate.
Yeah.
I think that's about as the hell out of something can be watched.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, with all this, just starting with Thing Ring, Do Your Thing, like fucking 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, that was a bad.
It has all led to this moment. Well, it led to like an hour ago.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess technically it led here, but here's not nearly as exciting as an hour ago.
That's true.
But man, that movie is something else.
It's a thumbs up.
One thumb up.
I'm not moving my arm.
I was just asking. So
it's
100% of the thumbs up you were going to give.
It's 1 out of 1 thumb. Just say there's a reviewer that gave this 7 out of 4.
7 out of 4 stars.
Which I disagree with vehemently because first off, if you go above your limit, what's the point of anything? Why not 50 billion out of 4 stars? Like, tell me what the problems are with this movie. I know you're trying to say it's beyond perfect, but fuck you. That's stupid. 4 out of 4. That's as far as you can go. It's out of 4.
I agree. I agree with 7 out of 4.
Well, then why didn't it get 8 out of 4? What would you like to have seen added to make it 8 out of 4?
Because that would be ridiculous. Don't be stupid.
Well, the movie's ridiculous already. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, so we're going to talk a lot about spoilers at this. I imagine anyone watching this probably caught the midnight premiere or is going to see it this weekend. If not, you should. I can't imagine anyone watching these videos that we've been doing.
Bruce Willis has been dead the whole time.
Marvel Madness videos and not be interested in seeing the Avengers. So just see it. And then once you've seen it, come back to this point in the video.
Or don't. Just see it again. Loop it. I don't think anyone should spend time watching
this.
There's
sometimes a night where they're not going to be playing it. Like right now. The only reason we're doing this video right now is because we can't go watch Avengers right now.
You know, if we flew to California in like an hour, we'd be able to. As long as we got there within an hour, we'd be able to watch it again.
We couldn't.
Or could we?
You could. It's like an hour flight to Chicago.
What if Iron Man took us? Is he faster than that?
Iron Man's not real.
Do you have a Fantastic Car?
Do I?
I don't know what's real anymore. I've watched too many damn Marvel movies. So spoiler alert.
Yeah, it's a spoiler. We'll probably end up spoiling things. But man, I don't even know where to begin on how great this movie is. I'm so glad that they gave Joss Whedon this project.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't even begin to imagine this in anyone else's hands.
I kind of want to get a hold of all the drafts of the script, though. Like, the
original, the Zach Penn?
Yeah, because I don't have to.
According to Joss Whedon, there was nothing in that script.
There's nothing in that script?
Like, he said there was nothing there for him to work with. And then he did a page 1 rewrite. Yeah,
but I mean, it's enough that it's still storyback credits. I imagine it was still the same basic enemies. I just still Loki.
Or he was by contract and said, "Hey, the Avengers team up," and that's all it took.
There's like specific rules for how much you have to contribute to get a credit. The Writers Guild has strict.
I don't know them, so I can't comment.
Well, I'm just saying. So that's why I'd like to see it, just to see how much.
Yeah.
Really, what shape it was in before Joss Whedon made it that awesome.
Yeah, but I mean, even then, what made it. Is everything that you could tell Joss Whedon had.
Yeah, no debate that movie is amazing because of Joss Whedon. I as a fan of the film, I'm interested to read the early drafts of the script.
I'm really anxious to see the 45 minutes that were cut.
Yeah.
Which he said will be deleted scenes, or at least most of them.
I'm really anxious to see the scene that they filmed at the premiere.
Yeah, that, and I would like to know the whole story on that. I've been trying not to snoop too much into that.
Like, I feel like
about spoilers.
I feel like it has to be just to fuck with us. I feel like Joss Whedon sat there and twiddled his little fingers and cackled from the balcony and said, "Bring the uniforms. We're not going to do shit tonight."
Maybe that was the post-credit scene. Yeah. That's what they filmed. They're like, "All right, guys, get your uniforms
on." Actually, when I first saw it,
enjoy this.
You said there was you said at the premiere there was a mid and a post-credit scene. But as soon as I saw the post-credit scene, which is amazing, I thought, like, this might be it. Like, this would be the sort of thing that's like, oh my god, I had a great idea. Fucking...
Like, after the premiere, just everyone get your costumes on. We're going out.
Mm-hmm. Because I could see that not... Like, it's fantastic, and it's a great idea, and it's the sort of thing Joss Whedon come up with, but I could see them not having, like, filmed that, like, not been like, oh, this is imperative, we need this scene.
Yeah.
But man, the second he thought of it, he would demand.
Yeah.
He would demand it be filmed. So, and who would turn that down? That's perfect.
Then they're like, all right, free food. Like, yeah. Good. Man. Yeah, everything was good. I'm trying to think of the bad parts are I'm not watching it right now.
That's true. The only thing that's here's the point I want to make. I told Clayton this in the car. It's as good an Avengers movie as I'm capable of thinking of. It's about it's as good as anyone could possibly hope for. If you have problems with it, it's that you're not reading a comic book. And I'm sorry, it's a movie. It's not a comic book. I'm sorry that you're not reading a comic book. And I'm sorry, Ant-Man's not in it. And all these fucking...
there. Criticism number one. Nathan Fillion is not in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it's... The hype is... Yep. Right there. Like, because the hype has been crazy. Like, all the reviews have been like, hey, do you want to see a perfect movie? Fucking May 4th. Enjoy. And, yeah.
Which I think once they realized that they had a movie that was as good as could be hyped, like, I don't think it'd be really hard to overhype this movie, I think. Just because the people who are going to enjoy this movie are going to love every second of it. And so I think that I really want to know why they released it in other countries first. And I have a feeling, I don't know if it was to build that hype, like so they
No, it has to be because some sort of sport. I'm telling you, it has to be. The World Cup's not this year. Is there some sort of rugby championship or something? Because I remember, I think it was Iron Man 2. One of the superhero movies, or at least they were big blockbusters last time the World Cup was on. I remember them getting released a solid 3 weeks early in Europe, because in the rest of the world, when the World Cup's on, nothing happens. Nothing else matters. Like, no one will ever think to go to a movie theater unless you're an American visiting there on vacation.
Yeah.
Which is terrible. Why would you go to a movie theater when you're on vacation? So that's my best guess, is that there was something going on in the rest of the world that Americans are too busy smoking cigars and killing babies to notice.
You have odd perceptions of Americans.
Well, I'm from Canada. I'm not from Canada.
I was going to say, because in the previous videos you've had odd perceptions of Canada, and...
I've lost my grip on reality, I'll be honest.
Well, after, I think 45?
You counting all the animated?
Yeah, so, I mean, start with 34, I'm not including Thing Ring. Proper movies, 34 movies, and then 8 animated movies, no, 9. Well...
Oh, don't count the Hulk versus Hulk versus...
Is 1, then 8. So...
42?
Yeah, 42, plus the 6 we watched today.
48.
48 movies we've watched in the last 3 weeks.
3 weeks. I'm not okay with that. We should not say that anymore. Don't point out the things that have happened. Because they make them worse.
I mean, at the beginning of this, I was going to be like, all right, now then we're going to choose what our favorite movie of the whole marathon was, and Avengers.
Yeah.
Like that.
Taking Avengers out of it, mine has to be Captain America. I love Captain America. I thought that was so well done. Even when I first saw it, and even again today rewatching it, I love every second of that movie.
It is. There's so much Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah.
If for no other reason than Star Spangled Man with a Plan's been stuck in my head for about 2 of these last 3 weeks, I'm inclined to agree with you there.
It also had the...
How about if we take all of the Marvel Studios movies out?
Well, that's a discussion for a different day. This is the Avengers video. That's a discussion for a different day.
I thought this was our wrap-up video.
I'm not in any right frame of mind to properly wrap up what we've done. We should go...
Are we going to come back to this if we haven't just watched the movie?
I feel like we're going to have a list of stuff we want to talk about, because we talk about doing the best Alfreds, multiple actor appearances, things like that.
Yeah, if we're going to do all that, then yeah.
I could see us doing that. Besides, we're going to break down that sort of stuff probably on the pod. We're doing a podcast with some people.
Some point.
Well,
there will be Facebook things about that.
What's a Facebook?
It's like old Twitter.
Oh, old Twitter, okay. So this movie, Avengers, I love that they came out of the gate like, hey, aliens. You see aliens before you see anything else.
Yep.
Also, they make you watch this whole sweet action sequence with all the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents before you get to see any of the Avengers heroes. And I'm like, fucking, that's a good move. That's a great move. So it's not. I was really afraid it was going to be Iron Man and his friends.
Yeah, I
was really terrified of that.
They showed a lot of restraint with Iron Man.
Yeah, they did a lot of. And I'm hypersensitive to it, so at the end, like, the end is pretty sweet. Like, the credits before it gets to the mid-credit scene is, like, overall the different costumes and weapons and stuff, and just this really cool sort of flying artwork with text next to it. And, like, when it ended on Tony Stark's, like, chest piece, and I was like, fucking, of course, everyone loves Iron Man. Fuck that guy. So yeah, I'm hypersensitive to it, but yeah, they did a good job of not being like everyone loves Iron Man. Let's just make Iron Man 3 secretly this movie.
That I liked that the Cap took charge.
Yeah, thank God they did that. Yeah, when that happened, I was like, you know how to make movies. You know what you're talking about. You know these characters, and you're making it make sense. Because when the fight scenes first started happening, they show like Iron Man flying around, like the big last fight. Spoiler alert: there's a big last fight. And like Iron Man's flying around shooting things out of the air, Thor's running around lighting things out of the air. Everyone's doing their thing, and like Captain America's just on the ground, like with like Black Widow, like he's gonna fist fight some aliens.
Yeah.
And when it first started, my brain, like a little part of my brain went, "This is a little weird. Like, what is Captain America's function here? Like, how is he helping just as much by punching people?" And I was like, I never really think this in the comics though, or in the video games. It always feels really natural. I wonder why. And then I watched, and good writing happened. And I'm like, oh, that's why. That's why, because he fucking is a great leader. He has strategy. He's helping people. He's rounding up civilians. He ordered the cops around, and fucking yeah,
and like especially because like movie Tony Stark right now is in no position to be leading anyone. Like thinking back on it, I'm like, of course.
I loved his interactions with Bruce Banner though.
Loved it. I was so, and going into it, I thought it was going to be...
Yeah, mostly not even the joke stuff. Like, I mean, the giant green monster,
Well, but like, from what couple clips I had seen, like at New York Comic Con and in the trailers, I thought a lot of their interaction was just going to be Tony Stark fucking with him, trying to get him to Hulk out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, which he does a couple times. But he does it in a fairly jokey way, but there's a lot of respect between those two characters.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad they did the thing where, because like you're both super fucking geniuses.
Yeah.
You're gonna do that? Okay. Sorry, Joss Whedon. Sorry for. Sorry for thinking that. Of course you're gonna do that because you are good at your job.
Yeah. Their whole relationship was phenomenal.
Hey, they have an option in his contract to bring him back for Avengers 2.
Who?
Joss Whedon.
Good. They should.
They do. They have the option of bringing him back for Avengers 2, so...
They should also get him to do all of the
everything. They have a different song. I'd be fine with Jon Favreau continuing to do the Iron Man.
Well, he's not.
He's not?
He's someone else is doing Iron Man 3.
Is he still going to be happy?
I don't know. I think that there's a lot of question in that.
I think he'd have to. Why would he not? What is he doing? What is he
because they didn't let him be the director. He didn't step down.
Oh, he was upset about Avengers? He wanted to be Avengers director?
I don't know about that. I know that he wanted to be Avengers director, but I don't know if he stepped down from Iron Man 3 or if they were like, we're going to go with someone else for Iron Man 3.
I mean, he's mad about Avengers, though. Joss Whedon, like... You can be as mad all you want, buddy, but sorry. Babe Ruth's batting. Sorry.
Yeah, and even then, I agree with that. Like, you have these directors do all the solo movies, but then just bringing Joss for the big group stuff, which is what he really excels at.
Mm-hmm. He did.
Like, man, can Joss Whedon write this detailed web of characters where everyone gets to interact with everyone? I read in an interview, Scarlett Johansson asked Joss, like, why she never gets to interact with Nick Fury.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's like, he's my boss. Shouldn't we interact more? And he's like, no, everyone knows he's your boss. There's no time. No, we can't. Look at everything. Look at all we're doing. This movie's running 4 hours long.
Man, my brain can't pick a thing to talk about.
At first it weirded me out, but I also really liked how they changed. They used a different take than what was in the trailer for the billionaire Playboy philanthropist
Oh yeah, that
line. Because everyone knew it was coming.
Yeah.
And that take worked much better in the scene.
Yeah.
With the context. But the other take worked much better in a trailer. Yeah. And I was like, man, all right, good job, editors.
Yeah, they know what they're doing.
Because I don't catch that very often where they use where it's a different take, like it's the same line, different take that's in a movie and in a trailer. I can't think of any other examples.
Yeah, I want to talk about the new Bruce Banner / Hulk.
I liked him.
I love the new Hulk in almost every way. That's one of the things that suffers from screen time is he hulks out twice, essentially in the film. The first time, he's pretty much your standard Hulk. He attacks whatever's in front of him and just keeps running and attacking. And then the second time he hulks out, he's like immediately in control and just starts listening and helping the Avengers and doing good, which he always sort of does. Like, yeah, he saves people who aren't really attacking him, but there's no. The first time he hulks out, there's no semblance of control. They don't give you any sign that he can control it. And I thought you could have had some moments in there with maybe like he's about. Because, like, Thor tackles him. Like, there's a moment when, like, maybe he's about to kill Black Widow, then maybe he hesitates, and then Thor hits him. To give some sort of sign that Bruce Banner's starting to get a handle on him while he's hulked out.
I could see that, but I liked how they handled it. Because, like, the circumstances for getting into being hulked out were very different.
Yeah, and I understand
obviously, like, because the first one, he was that high stress situation. He didn't want to be the Hulk. He was actively fighting against it. I loved the scene where after he landed,
yes,
and he was naked, and the old guy came up, and that I loved that dialogue between them because it was the first time that someone was just totally fine with him being the Hulk, and like he wasn't. That guy had no interest in using the Hulk as a weapon, and he wasn't afraid of it. He was like, "Here, would you like some pants?"
It's also a good bit.
Well, yeah, it was very funny, but I thought that's because, again, that's what Joss Whedon does really good, is, hey, let's make things super funny and also great and important to the story. I think it helped Bruce Banner accept himself as the Hulk.
It's not enough in my mind, it's a consequence of the time of the film. You can't fit Vince. I'm not saying, Joss Whedon, you should have done this. You can't fit in the Hulk transitioning that much, and he needs to be where he is at the end of the film to make the film. And I understand where you're going with it, and you can make that argument, but you can make a lot of arguments of film, and I'm not going to accept that being what makes him accept himself and have control on it. And I know that's not what you're saying. You're saying that could be a step. I'm not buying that.
I absolutely feel like that's why I really enjoyed that scene, because that's what that scene meant to me as far as like what it meant to Bruce Banner.
No.
Good argument.
It was a bit. You felt like a bit. It's a funny joke. Old man, farmer, naked line. Look naked. But more so than that.
I mean, it wasn't just for the Batman, because that guy's a super well-known character actor. I've forgotten his name.
If you say character actor, they're not
like
super well-known.
345. Well, in
the character actor circles.
Yeah, in Hollywood, he's respected and has done a bunch of stuff, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head because he's. But
more so than the Hulk change, Bruce Banner was a lot different from where he was in the Edward Norton film. His personality-wise, like I know Joss Whedon's running for him now, but just and I understand time has passed and it's taking a change. And first, I'm a little sad they didn't do a line. They didn't do a joke on it.
No, maybe it was cut.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe it was. Everything's cut. Sorry, Joss. You better. I hope when we go see it tomorrow, there better be a 4-hour version.
What's really weird is because Joss Whedon said that when he cut the 45 minutes out of it, he said what most of what was cut was him, like stuff that Joss was putting of himself in there, and he's like, "That's not what this movie's about," and took it back. Which I'm like, man, everything that's left is still super Joss. Like, I really want to see the stuff that Joss thinks is Joss.
Yeah, all the characters are still really the characters, though. I can see him losing it a bit with Tony Stark, especially. I could see him like, oh man, I'm gonna smarm up everything. Yeah, that's. But no, I really enjoyed it. Like, I really enjoyed this Bruce Banner and this Hulk. Just, I almost wish Edward Norton could have made it work, but it's fine. Like what it is, I accept it. Just I wonder if in the next Hulk movie we're gonna get a new actor.
Like I really enjoyed Mark Ruffalo, but I do kind of wish that every time Hulk appears in a live action movie, he's going to be played by a different actor.
Yeah. I'm just going back to the Hulk scene, and I understand where you're going with it. Just I don't think the length of it doesn't have emotional depth. Speaking of lack of emotional depth, I didn't really feel it when Coulson died. I wanted to. I love the character.
Well, you were screaming out and making a scene. Because you were talking during the whole thing.
During Coulson's death?
Or right before it.
Yeah, I talked right before it.
Yep.
So, that doesn't mean I didn't watch him die.
Okay, we'll go on.
Just, I understand the importance of it, just, it didn't hit me like, I don't think they did sort of the mopey dwell on it like a lot of films do to sort of force you into sort of an emotional reaction.
I don't think it needed to.
No, it didn't. Just, it didn't, like, I'm not saying
like a movie, in fact, I don't think a movie should do that. Like, it should have a good character if its character is going to die like that. Like, I felt it because, you know, he's probably my favorite character out of all of Marvel Madness. He's tied with J. Jonah Jameson, played by J.K. Simmons.
Well, that's unfair. So
yeah, I mean, that's like, you know, the Bible is on the bestseller list.
Oh, yes, we know.
There's J.K. Simmons playing J. Jonah Jameson, but he's, probably my favorite character.
Yeah, and I really enjoy his character. Just, I mean, it wasn't a bad death scene. It was good. I'm glad they didn't say, because, like, his last line is, like, it's always going to happen this way or whatever. They needed something to, and then he stops. And I'm really glad no one said avenge. I was so afraid. Like, Joss Whedon's a better writer than that, but, man, I had a moment of panic. And maybe that's what stalled off the, like, emotion of a death. I was too busy panicking that someone was going to make bad writing, and I would have to, like, tear up the chair in front of me.
But it's a Joss Whedon movie.
I know. I shouldn't do that.
That's your fault. That's the movie. There's not a problem with the movie.
I always assume
that is a criticism to you. You're a bad audience member.
Have you seen Hollywood before? Have you met Hollywood? I should introduce you to sometime. She's awful.
Yes, but I've also met Joss Whedon.
Yes, but Hollywood kills Joss Whedon. That's why I'm surprised you get away with this. I'm like, keep waiting for the boot to drop. It's like, all right, now they did this, we get to take his firstborn.
It was one of Nick Fury's early lines where I was like, okay, this really was written by Joss Whedon. They didn't just put his name on everything to try to get nerds to see it. Mm-hmm. He had one line that was talking about, and if until the end of the world, like, we're gonna
until such time that the end of the world happens, we're gonna keep
assuming that it's gonna spin on or something like that. And I was like, man, I was straight out of Firefly.
I was a little nervous at the very beginning of Maria Hill's character, like with the walk and talk with those two, and like at a certain point, I'm like, it feels a little too much like the techno babble, like the quick jargon talk to me. And it ended up like sort of like melding into the movie, and I really had no problems with it. But like when it first started, I was like, this conversation doesn't taste right to me. Like, and everything after that, I had no problems with. Just like sort of the initial few lines between them when they're talking about
the Plan 2, or
Plan 2, and like Neutron, and a couple other techno science words. Mm-hmm. So that got me a little worried. But yeah, Maria Hill, she's good enough.
Yeah. Well, then we were half right when we talked about how Maria was being introduced to be when we thought Nick Fury might die, to like take over his role. But no, she was the new Coulson, as far as giving Nick Fury someone to talk to.
Coulson had a good run, though.
He did. And
that's what I feel, too. Like when re-examining it, like, as much as I love Coulson, I think he's had his run. Like, I think he's done...
Fortunately, he's still on Ultimate Spider-Man, but...
Yeah, I think he's done all he can do.
Yeah, I mean, especially watching all of those movies in a big chunk, like today, like... Coulson almost has just a really nice arc throughout all 6 of those movies, even though he's not in 2 of them. It's from his beginnings in Iron Man all the way leading into the Avengers, where he had a hand in recruiting pretty much everyone. And I had a feeling that we had guessed incorrectly about who had died. The more, like, almost every single time they gave Coulson something new and fun to do, I'm like, oh shit, like, fuck. Like, oh man, they're making everyone who isn't me like him. Like, they had me. Like, they could have opened the movie with just like Loki just killing Coulson. Like, fuck you, Sam. Like, oh, it would have hit me exactly the same way.
And everyone's like, why did you
who's that? Who's that guy?
Yeah, we'll probably find out. It's probably the ending. It's probably one of those things you start in the
and then
middle
the
of
rest of Avengers is so good that they just forget that by the end, and I'm the only one who's affected by that.
You may find out I know Joss Whedon really well. It's like bringing Coulson back to kid.
It pissed me off, though, because I found an old article that when Coulson first got put in the Avengers where he said that Joss told him he was safe.
It might have been before he started writing, though.
Maybe, but I imagine when Joss said, "Hey, you're gonna be in Avengers," I have a feeling he probably knew what was gonna happen.
I don't know at that point, like especially because I don't see him lying to Coulson. Like, I also don't see Coulson.
No, but I can see Coulson lying to a reporter.
I don't know. I don't know if he would do that as much because I mean
I could see it to stave off because pretty much as soon as they're like, "Oh, Coulson's gonna be in Avengers," and everyone was like, "Fuck, he's the one Joss Whedon's gonna kill." Then he was. So it could have been to stave that off.
Well, I mean, I think it'd be just as easy to go like, I don't know what's gonna happen. Like I read it. He just told me I'm gonna be in it like 2 days ago. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
Especially just going in, like if I'm Joss Whedon, I'm nerd on high, director, writer, and like okay, I'm doing Avengers. I have the script. It's probably not very good. I have to rewrite it. And I see Coulson like fucking, hey, you're gonna be in Avengers. This is happening because I like your character. It's funny, so I'm writing him in. I'll tell you now.
Yeah.
So I could see it being that sort of thing. And I don't know if it'd be like, oh, I'm definitely not going to kill you. I doubt Joss Whedon will ever say that to anyone.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you're funny, you're great. I'm putting you in there. You're going to be so funny. I could see it being more sort of a lighthearted thing like that, like not really giving a lot of thought to it yet. Just like he knows he's going to write him in because. Guess what? You're gonna have S.H.I.E.L.D. agents who can say lines.
Maybe Nick Fury was gonna die, and Samuel Jackson was like, "Fuck you."
Turns out
Samuel Jackson doesn't die.
Turns out Clark Gregg had a really good contract, and it's just too expensive to keep him in the movies. Too expensive. Sam Jackson had a shit deal.
Well, he was like I think he was friends with Jon Favreau, which is how he got into the first like. They just called him up. They're like, "Hey, we need a dude to be in this one scene," and then scene went really well. They're like, "Hey, you want to do all the other scenes in this movie where we just need a S.H.I.E.L.D. dude?" And he's like, well, yes, please.
Perfect.
And so it would be funny if it was like, oh yeah, we're going to give you so much money, we've got all this extra budget, and then turns out like that becomes a set minimum for every movie they put him in. They're like, man, this guy must be really good. That's how much we have to pay him.
That's probably how Hollywood works.
That's why Edward Norton's not in the movie. They're like, well, we already put in Coulson, and now we can't afford both of them.
Yeah.
That's why Terrence Howard wasn't in Iron Man 2. Terrence Howard's like, I want more money, and they're like, no, we can't. Coulson needs to be in it, and we're out. We're out of money.
Mm-hmm.
We're reusing shots from The Island, and it's just to save money.
I was like, anytime in that movie, I felt like I would start to get worried about something. They would either like immediately tell me like, hey, it's gonna be fine, like in that second, or do something so awesome that I forget I even have this problem. Because thinking back to it, like when Thor first showed up, everybody's like, boop, now Thor's here, and I was like, it's kind of glossing over the bridge, and like they had the one-line fix. Thank God for the Dark Matter collection.
Oh well, I mean, Loki said as much in Thor, like, hey, there are ways to get there.
Yeah, and I know he did, and I know it's possible, but it's just like Thor didn't really have a lot of build-up. They didn't like have to go out and get Thor. So like compared to everyone else, like when it first happened, it felt like jarringly unsatisfying to me.
Mm-hmm.
But by the end of the movie, I was like, fucking Thor has to be here. Shoot lightning, pew pew pew, fucking woo. Right on that giant snake.
I mean, I thought it was fine. Like, yeah, I was hoping for a little more, especially because Loki's involved. Like, have him and Odin sitting there and go, oh, fuck, here. I'm gonna
bring all those
use all this dark energy in, so to where it'll kill me and all this. Like, which it could just be me putting this on there, but like, even when Loki asked that question, like, how much dark energy did Odin have to use to send you here, and just how pissed Thor looked at that. Just at even him asking that question, I thought said a lot to that moment, and I thought that really helped that moment. To where it didn't seem quite as glossed over as it kind of was.
Like that, yeah. It's still just it's always going to be a function of the brevity compared to everyone else's introduction.
Yeah.
Compared to everyone else who gets the recruiting, their missions, and then all of a sudden he's just like, I'm here. Yeah. I'm also really pleased that the fight in the forest was not like mind control inspired.
Yeah.
Like just going on like, all right, the Avengers fighting each other. Clearly, Loki mind controls them, whatever.
And that's one of the clips that I'd seen before. That was the clip that had commentary with Joss Whedon online. It was just like a 1.5 minute clip of them fighting in the forest.
Mm-hmm.
And Joss Whedon said as much. He's like, yeah, these two guys are fighting because they both have goals that conflict with each other. They're not just, oh, well, now we gotta fight, or, oh, I'm mind controlled. Like, no, they have very clear goals and clear and character reasons for fighting right now.
Yeah, and Captain America was solid. That's a Chekhov's gun. I feel like didn't go off.
There were like 3.
Yeah, there were.
The Thor boosting his power.
Yeah, it was his power team ups essentially.
Yeah, which I thought for sure that was going to go in the.
Which is odd because they did have a power team up. It just wasn't one of the ones that were featured.
Nope, which was great, which was just fine.
Yeah, which was literally one of the fusion powers from Ultimate Minds 2. And I'm like, that's that thing.
Well, I'm sure it's been in comics.
Yeah, I know, but so
straight up. I'm playing a video game right now.
Yeah, and it's just that, and then the hammer on the shield. Which I'm like, oh great, like Joss Whedon, the super genius who's playing like 4-dimensional chess in a room that I can't see, is putting some great like foreshadowing shit in here. And like, it didn't even hit me at the time because I was too busy watching the fucking like half-hour climax fight and just
it's so good.
It's just and it never feels boring. It feels like, all right, get on with it. It's fucking like more shit.
Like, man, when Hulk takes out that first snake worm thing.
I thought that was the end of it. I thought, okay, this is going to be the wrap-up. Now you fight Loki or whatever. Nope.
Yeah, no, but still, like, because of the trailers, that's the huge thing. Everyone's like, what the fuck is that thing? Like,
they're going to have to assemble for that.
Yeah, and then Hulk's like, oh, that? Like, that's it. I
love the... I really want to know what he cut.
I wonder if he cut some of the payoffs.
And he could have cut some of the payoffs. I guess at the fight, there'd probably be a lot of extra stuff. I'm wondering if I feel like there was one thing missing from something that we did get the payoff on. We only got one reference to before that didn't feel strong enough. Bruce Banner's secret that he's always angry.
Yeah, they hinted at it early.
They hinted it early, and it feels like in the middle there really needs to be. I don't even know what point. It feels like there needs to be at least another callback to it or like a stronger mention of it. Because it's sort of throwaway, like when he says it, I'm like, oh, that's right. He's sort of like that's how he's in control. He's just always pissed now, and so it's and I love that moment. And I'm like, man, I would have loved that even more had they like said, well, rather than like I think I loved it appropriately because I knew what they were going for, but I feel like maybe some other people it would benefit with the
But here's the thing: is with a lot of that stuff, I'm wondering if that's not completely intentional. With Joss Whedon making those setups just for people who are going to get them like that.
I could see that.
Like we don't, like I said, like both of us got that secret thing, and we didn't need a reminder. Like, hey, remember when this happened?
This video is long.
Yep, that's why I checked first.
Like it's like, we increased your limit, but not to 4 hours.
Fuck you guys.
It's like it's gonna be longer than Avengers. Like, sorry, Justin, we talked about your movie longer than the movie. Make another one. You gotta stretch it out. Fucking. There's too much to talk about.
Yeah.
Every second, I want to do an anti-riff tracks, a pause of tracks.
It's just us the entire movie just going, that was a great joke. That was well crafted. That was really good.
Belly laughing and man, a lot of stuff.
And I thought about that as well with the Chekhov's gun things. If those weren't intentional Chekhov gun red herrings,
just to fucking piss us off.
Yeah, because
Joss Whedon hates nerds, as we established earlier.
Yeah,
fuck you, nerds.
Because for people like us, like we see when those moments are coming, like in Iron Man 2, when they're like, oh, when they have the thing, and we find out when they shoot their things against each other, there's a big blast. Like, gee, I wonder if that's going to come back, and then it's the big moment at the end, and the fact, like, because as soon as Jarvis was like, suit power at 400%, I'm like, well, make a note of that. That's going to come back later. And
the second Thor jumped in the air to hit Captain America, I'm like, fucking hitting that vibranium is going to be so fun.
Oh, yeah, that.
It's an email, don't worry. So Norse, Stop recording, boys.
The
It's too
computer's
long.
like, you guys are so nerdy.
Too much. Wrap it up, boys.
We're getting the wrap it up signal from the computer.
Man, I'm just trying to get through. But yeah, man, boss
Man, that
aliens
whole helicarrier scene.
It almost like in my mind, I'm thinking like there are only 3 parts of this movie, but they're like 4 hours long apiece.
Yeah, there's the intro, and the helicarrier, and then the end.
Yeah,
and that's just fine.
No,
you want 3 acts? You have 3 acts, assholes.
Yeah, there's no assemble moment. There's no vocal assemble, which is fine. You don't need it. And honestly, watching it like there's no good place to throw it in.
You kind of get that in the UK version, where the movie's called Avengers Assemble. But then that moment that you get that title card right after, like, Colonel Fury, what are you gonna do? Avengers Assemble.
Yeah, but it's not. It's like I want to hear.
Yeah, no, you want to hear.
I want to hear Chris Evans yell Avengers Assemble.
Yeah,
and I'm looking forward to it in Avengers 2 because it's gonna fucking happen. It's gonna happen so hard, all over the place.
Life model decoy.
That was a great. So everything's perfect. Perfect everything. 7 out of 7 stars. Because that's how stars work. And there's like every character gets jokes. Everyone's funny. Everyone's serious. Everyone's has great dramatic moments. Like I never thought I'd love Black Widow so much.
Oh man.
I'm like
that moment when she turns and you realize that not only she fooled Loki, but she fooled everyone in the audience.
Like,
and then you just feel like an idiot. You're like, of course.
They even told us this. They even warned us about this. And we're too stupid to listen.
Oh man, that moment was great. Yeah, because you hate to see the female character weakened like that, but it's so common that you're just like, oh well, here we go. But then it's those moments where you forget that Joss Whedon's writing it.
He's gonna be like,
yeah, it's like, man. I even liked Hawkeye. Like I thought, I really enjoyed everything that he did.
Yeah, Hawkeye was my least favorite in the same way that Cars 2 is my least favorite Pixar movie. Like it's still a fucking Pixar movie.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of that, holy shit, Brave.
We're not talking about Brave right now.
I am.
We have 37 minutes.
I might see that movie in 3D because when we saw the trailer in 3D, it looked super good.
I think I probably won't.
I saw I think I saw Up in 3D, and Pixar movies are great in 3D. I don't like 3D movies, but
one thing we didn't mention during our previous video, and I just have to say it, is Thor really missed out on a golden 3D opportunity after seeing Tron Legacy. Fucking Asgard should have been in 3D, Earth should have been in 2D.
Yeah. I would get that, but they start in Asgard. So like this big world. Oh man,
Then we start on Earth. Everything seemed to be Earth.
Yeah. Then you wouldn't have that dramatic moment unless it became just the opposite of that. Just this dramatic shift into 2D as Thor shows up.
Well, that's the thing.
Where he's just like, haha, I live in this glorious world. Like, fuck, I lost a dimension.
That's sort of the thing, because it's the opposite thing. It's not someone traveling to a magical world. It's a magical versus travel through a mundane world.
Yeah.
So it should have the opposite effect.
It'd be weird because it'd be constantly switching because there's people doing things in Asgard and like Tron Legacy, like it's real world, game world, and then a little real world, and like
so it'd be different, but I think it would add to it. I think. I just think Hollywood should work on it. And
well,
then see how it
buy both versions of the Blu-ray, get a Blu-ray burner,
Super
rip them, and do an edit where you cut the 2D footage from Earth and with the 3D footage from Asgard.
Perfect. Great plan. We're doing it tomorrow. That's what we're doing tomorrow after we watch Avengers.
After we watch Avengers 9 more times. Sleep is going to be great right now.
I feel pretty solid that I can get away tomorrow seeing it one more time.
And then once every day of the weekend?
No. I think I'll be pretty... I'm not as rabid of a... Like, unless I'm working in a movie theater, I'm not as much of a rabid go to the theater rewatcher as you are.
What? I don't do that. Just because I watched 21 Jump Street twice in the same day...
I feel like I hear more stories of you like, well, I saw this X number of times in the theater. Like,
I never tell those stories.
Well, I've heard at least one.
Which one?
I honestly couldn't tell.
Yeah, I was like, I don't see movies.
Inception you saw several times in the theaters. As you told me you
More
did.
than 3.
That's more than once.
Yeah, more than, yeah.
Yes, I could name.
I usually see a movie once. If it's pretty good, I'll see it twice. Like if friends want to go.
Yeah, if you
it has to be really good to give me.
If you disregard the 5 movies today that we rewatched in theaters, I could count the number of movies I've seen multiple times in theaters with half of a hand.
Like multiple, just even twice.
Yes.
That is weird to me.
Why should I saw it. I'll wait for it to come out on DVD, and then I want it for cheap.
But it's big.
I saw it big. That's what that first viewing did. I get to see it.
All right, I'm tired. We should.
So go see Avengers. We gotta make it to 40 minutes though, right? We gotta.
So just.